Hello and welcome back to Plastic Models by Regular Dude and the Tamiya Zero Fighter in 1/72nd scale. Part 2. The last segment I had painted everything. I had painted the markings here and on the tail, and I pretty much got, well, not pretty much, I have got the decals completed. On the side of that blue band on the fuselage. That one went on there really nicely. Everything else has been pretty good. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of discoloration and stuff around these. Well, not discoloration, but that's where I put the solve set to get them to stick really well and to conform to the detail. So that's done. Not really anything on the bottom. So that's done. So once all that dries, then I can actually start on, very light weathering. One thing I did have to do is I repainted the cowling. I used, I did some tests on it with the clay wash, and it discolored it too much, made it look too faded, which is not the look I want to go to. I want to go for a aircraft first time in battle look. I don't want it all beat up. So I repainted it, and I'll just be more direct in my panel line application. So like a pin wash is what I'm going to end up doing. And I'll probably do it with oils in this case instead of the clay washes I normally use, because I don't want any additional surface discoloration, at least not much. The landing gear is all complete and ready to go. I got the decals on there, and then did a little dry brushing with some silver just to bring out the details. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to paint the lights, formation lights, or whatever you call them. There's one on each wingtip, and then there's also these here and here on both wings. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little dab of silver on there, and then I will use X7 and X5, which is green. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dilute that down quite a bit with clear gloss, just to give it just a slight transparent look and allow the silver to show through just a little bit, just to hopefully make it pop a little bit better. So once I do that, I'll glue the cowling on. Decals are drying on the prop. I can install that, and before I put the landing gear on, I'll start with the with some of the weathering, and then I can put the landing gear on, give the whole thing a gloss coat, not a gloss coat, a clear coat. It'll be a flat clear coat, and this will be complete. So let me get started on that stuff. We'll come back. Alright, so I'm going to demo real quick what I'm doing on this aircraft with the Ultimate Weather Wash, and I'm using mud. And the reason I'm using mud is because I didn't want it to be a stark black color in the panel lines. So it's really easy, and I'm just going to do it on this this rudder right here. I've already done it on some of the other. Basically, I just slather it on here. Make sure I get it into all the nicks and crannies and all that business. Like that. Make sure I get it in that seam right there where the rudder meets the tail of the aircraft. Again, what I'm trying to accomplish here is just mainly some panel line, business for a little bit of contrast without dirtying up the rest of the airframe too much. So I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes and then come back and show you the rest. Alright, once it dries, then I take a handy dandy cotton swab slash Q-tip slash whatever you call it in your part of the world, and then I rub off the excess. Now, if I were doing this as a more used and dirty aircraft, something that had been around a lot longer, I would probably do this and leave it. Now, obviously, I don't think I'd use brown in this case. If I was making a really dirty aircraft, I'd use something a little bit more grayish black brown kind of thing. But in this case, and I would go with the Airstream. Okay, so there's that. So once I wipe that off, it's still leaving quite a bit of the brown on there. So what I do is I use cotton swab again, but this time dipped in water, and I wipe off even more. So basically what happens is it just leaves it in the rivet and panel line detail and cleans off most of it like that. Then I take a paper towel and further wipe it off to where it's pretty much gone except for in the panel lines and stuff like that and the rivets. So it makes that stuff pop out, but it doesn't make the airframe too dirty. So that is what I'm doing. So I'm going to continue doing that and come back later. All right, and here it is, the completed Tamiya 0 and 1/72nd scale. So my thoughts on the kit. I think I've made it perfectly clear that the kit itself is very, very, very nice. It fits together really well. All the parts are very clean, and it just goes together no problem. And being a 1/72nd scale kit, as I mentioned before, I don't do 1/72nd scale kits, and this one just really kind of surprised me. It had some small parts, but it wasn't real fiddly, and those small parts, when put into position, they just seem to they fit snugly without being too tight. You just set them in place, they're there, you put your little touch of cement, and you're good to go. So I have to say that I am very, very stoked with this kit. Here's a little bit lower view. Didn't have to do anything real special as far as paint. I did have to mix the Aotaki or whatever it's called. It's that weird greenish blue transparent primer that is on some of the inside parts. So that was really it, and it was really easy to mix up, because they give you a formula right there on the instructions. Other than that, I just used Tamiya paints right out of the bottle. With I didn't have to mix anything with the exception of the main color, using XF76 for the base, and using equal parts XF76 and X22 gloss clear to kind of give it a little bit of a more of a semi-gloss or satin finish. Just made getting the clay wash off a lot easier. And as you saw if you watched the series, I used the Ultimate Modeling Products clay wash, mud colored, to highlight the panel lines and such. Other than that, just regular old paint. This was totally out of the kit, or out of the box kit. The Don't know how well you can see inside the cockpit there, but the seat belts worked out really nice. The decal seat belts. So just a great kit overall. And would I recommend it? Yes, I would definitely recommend it. It's a really, really good kit. I don't know. I just can't explain how good it went together, how well it went together. Just really, really nice. So if Tamiya's other newer 1/72 scale kits are like this, I think I'll be building more of them. I like the fact that it's small, it's well detailed, doesn't take up much shelf space, and it was just really fun to build. So that's it for this edition of Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the Tamiya 0 and 1/72 scale. I hope you enjoyed following along on these videos. Stay tuned for more to come up, and I will see you all later.